All right, you know what time it is. We live with another night of prison stories. I don't like to waste no time. I'm gonna get right to it. We're gonna try and roll through it. We've got a lot of good, positive information to help you from a lot of brothers and sisters that's locked up in the struggle. I brought on my lawyer, the young lady that got me out. You know what I mean? Brittany Barnett. You know what I mean? She's gonna tell you who she is, what she got going on. I'm sure everybody knows somebody that's caught up in the justice system, whether it's in the state of the feds. You know what I mean? So you need to listen to the conversation that's going on, and you need to tune in. Okay? So now let me bring in, with no further ado, my angel. You know what I mean? That saved me and plucked me from the belly of the beast. Like I said, I wanted to let them know I'm bringing in my angel that plucked me from the belly of the beast, and so many other brothers that was lost. Would you like to introduce yourself, please? Hold on. Oh, my fault. Go ahead, babe.
I'm Brittany K. Barnett, and like you said, I'm an attorney and co-founder of the Buried Alive Project, and just a social entrepreneur in general. So it's so good to be a part of your show, Unique, and just seeing you free.
Yeah. All the head bucket we went through in there with me studying the law, knowing the law, and you feeling like I should just mind my business and let you do your thing because that's your job and all that. But we made it through it because we made it through it, and I'm gonna want to touch on that and share that a little later with everybody. The struggles that we went through, so you can let them know what it's like to deal with, as they call me, the cockiest kingpin. You know what I mean? I know it's hard to contain me sometimes, but I know you meant well, so I fell back and I let you, do what you do. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from rural East Texas, a small town called Pagoda. It had like 1,200 people in it. So I'm a small town country girl at heart.
How many minorities did they have there? What type of place was that?
Oh my God. So it was 24 students in my class, 2 Black students in my class, me and my cousin.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So what did that feel like for you?
It was normal for me because it's how I grew up. So I didn't know anything different. It's like growing up in the South is just beautiful in general. But the part of the town we lived in, the whole road was like 2 miles long, and it was all family that lived on the same road. So it was definitely a happy childhood, for me, just being surrounded by family and love. So not having that many Black people in the town wasn't a big deal for me at the time.
So, I went to school in a little town out in New Jersey, and I was like, one of the blackest ones in my class because, we was kind of spread around in the school. You know what I mean? So it was a couple and all the different things, but, it wasn't many that was Black like me back then. It was a couple of us, me and another brother, Glenn Thompson. We were the ones that kind of got the border of it. But, we learned how to fight very well and kept them up office. Let's say. So I asked that because, me growing up as a darker skin and during that time, my color was an issue, not only in school, but also at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand. Back then they had what they call that, the brown paper bag test. You know what that is, being from the South, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the brown paper bag is your mama tell you don't bring, or your father tell you don't bring home nobody darker than a brown paper bag because we don't want no darkies in our family, so they ain't got to go through no tribulations, like what Unique gonna have to go through for being so Black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I just wanted to share that, being you said you was from a rural town,
Yeah, for sure.
So when you were younger, did you want to? What did you want to be when you grew up? Did you want to be a lawyer?
I did. I always wanted to be a lawyer, but growing up, the only lawyer that I knew, Unique, or I thought I knew that looked like me, was Claire Huxtable from the Cosby Show.
Get out of here.
Yes. I wanted to be like Claire Huxtable from the Cosby Show. I didn't know any lawyers, especially any Black women lawyers. And so that is what I aspired to be. But unfortunately, growing up, my environment, it limits your perspective sometimes. And the older I got, the more I felt like becoming a lawyer was out of my reach. Like it was something I couldn't obtain. You know, I felt like it was just a whole nother world for me. And so I decided not to be a lawyer and that I was going to go to school and do accounting, you know, and try to get a career in accounting or finance. But as from kindergarten, first grade, you know, I wanted to be Claire Huxtable.
Okay, let me bring them right to who you are, because I think they really need to know your accomplishments and your stats that you're OG. You know what I mean?
OG.
You're OG in the prison reform joint. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of them don't know about you. So instead of reading questions off the thing, I'm going to go off my head to let them know. So tell them how many of us, how many uniques have you gotten off of a life with no parole sentence?
Personally, you know, by myself, I'm at 25. And with the Buried Alive Project and my co-counsel, we have freed, as of last week, 55 people who were set to die in prison.
Now, so y'all understand, when I went in front of the judge, I know y'all, you know, already know me. I told him, send me someplace I can further my education, boom, 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 you know, because I wanted to better myself, because I did what I could with what I had. And I succeeded. You know, I succeeded in the wrong way. You know, now I know it was the wrong way. Back then, you know what I mean? Not having an education or even having a dream or a vision of an education, I couldn't fathom anything other than, you know, selling drugs, driving Mercedes, and running around having fun. You know what I mean? Didn't know how to save nothing for my kids or my grandkids, just keeping it 100. We ain't gonna play no games. But you done freed 55 men. She freed 55 men that had life with no parole. So you understand, not just Unique, she freed 55 men that had life with no parole. Please. So you understand what that is. You know what I mean? How old are you?
36.
She freed men that was down from before she was even born. You know what I mean? So it's like God raised her to come rescue me after I screwed up. You know what I mean? Just keeping it 100, because everything has its course. So it's a reason for God to put me down the path that I went down, and for me to be sitting here talking to my lifesaver right here, because I was scheduled to die. They hated me in the prison because I stayed on their neck. When she said that she set up a legal call and I went back there, I didn't go back there to ask them, did she call? I went back there and told them, my lawyer, Brittany, called. She set up a legal call for this day and this time. You will be available. If not, you let me know what we're going to do that day so we can straighten it out today. So that day I can talk to my lawyer. You know what I mean? That's how persistent I had to be in order to communicate to try and get my freedom. And so many other brothers are so used to, you know, being more what they call respectful, passive, whatever they want to call it. There's nothing disrespectful to them. You know, no disrespect to the other brothers. But me, I've always been one to go at mines. And I know that the system, they was doing anything to try and keep us in, you know. But Brittany, when did you decide that you wanted to get into doing this, or what led you into, you know, your field?
Yeah, so I went on to become an accountant. I graduated high school a year early, and I got a bachelor's, you know, at 21. I had a master's in accounting at 22, and I went to practice accounting. You know, I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the largest accounting firms in the world, but I always still had this dream, you know, of becoming a lawyer. All through that time, though, Unique, what a lot of people didn't know, because I was successful, right? I had this image of success and what it's supposed to look like. But growing up in the rural South, you know, we experienced the war on drugs in a different way. And so, as I talk about in my book, when the drug war came for us, it came from my mama. And so my mama was a nurse. My stepdad worked at the coal mine. But as far back as I can remember, probably like fourth grade, when I was about 10, like I remember the conversations and my mom realizing that my mom was addicted to crack cocaine. And so from being so little, you know, at 10 years old, you so tender, and you just watching chaos unfold like a little bitty arms reach away. And so all you want to do is save your mama, you know, like thinking you can fix her or help her, you know, not understanding at 10. That wasn't my responsibility, but also I couldn't save her, because back then, you know, we had like the war on drugs was at its height. This was like 94. So we had DARE programs in
How
school.
old, excuse me, how old was you in 94?
10.
That's when I got sentenced and she came to rescue me 26 years later.
That's crazy, right?
Just so you know.
So when I was 10, my mom was going to rehab for a crack cocaine addiction that unfortunately rehab didn't help. She only got worse. And so this is how I grew up. And then realizing at the time, you got the DARE programs, you got the Just Say No programs coming to the school. You know, that's like people that get addicted to drugs are like the most morally corrupt people, the weakest of everybody. But then my mama is one of them. And so I'm trying to reconcile all that in my little brain going into my teenage years and just had to get away. So I left my family home and went to live with my grandparents about an hour away. And like I said, my mom was just getting worse. And so during this time, I'm in high school. I'm a senior in high school. I started dating a drug dealer, you know, knowing exactly what was happening, knowing that he sold drugs, knowing that we were going to Dallas in my car and I was driving and I would pull up to a house in East Dallas and he'd come out with a package wrapped in plastic, putting it under the seat. I knew what was in that package. I knew it was drugs in that package. We never talked about it, but I knew what was in the package. So I grew up at a time being an 80s baby of where being involved in some form of the drug culture was the norm. You either knew somebody using them or selling them. And it was something that at the time we didn't even think about. You know, it really wasn't looked at in a way of this is bad or this is good. We just was living. And so going through all of that, seeing how my mom was impacted. And then when I was 22, my mom went to prison. And it was her drug addiction that ultimately led her to going to prison. And so here I am now, just super proximate to the issue of mass incarceration. And as you know, Unique, with your children on any given day, you know, it's over 2 million children in this country with a parent that's incarcerated. And it's hard when it's anybody, right? When your daddy, it's hard. But when it's your mama, you know, it's like a primal wound. And so when my mama went to prison, it was devastating for my sister and I. We would go visit her every single month, dealing with the dehumanization that come with visiting prisons. You know, we were driving 2.5 hours for a 2-hour visit, coming back 2.5 hours. So we driving 5 hours in a day to see her for 2 hours. One time I remember going to visit her. It was like my first visit with her. And I couldn't wait to get there to see my mama. I knew she had pulled change. She was leaving the jail, going to the prison. And I wanted to hug her, to touch her, to smell her. You know what I'm saying? But when I got to the prison, I found out that I couldn't have a contact visit with her because she hadn't been there 60 days. So I drove all this way with these expectations. And I get there and I'm having to visit my mama through the glass. And anybody that has had a loved one in jail or prison and had to visit them through that glass know how deceptive that glass is. It's like 3 inches thick, but you feel like you're on a whole different planet than the person that you're there to visit. And so I just remember holding that phone so tight against my ear, you know, because I didn't want to miss a sound of my mama's voice. And so I went through that, decided to go to law school because that dream was always in the back of my mind. And you know why I decided to go ahead and pursue that? Because I met a Black woman lawyer. And when I met her, I knew that I can do that too. And so that's when I like pivoted to go to law school. But even all that time, I was going to be a corporate lawyer. I was going to use my CPA, take all that knowledge that I had got through accounting and go be a corporate lawyer. And that's what I did. But in law school, I came across the case of Sharonda Jones. And she was a woman from East Texas like me. And she was serving at the time her 10th year of a life sentence. And I just didn't think people were getting life for drugs. You know, I'm a law student. I'm entering this legal field. I'm excited. You know, I'm ready to get involved and use my law degree in a good way. And then finding out people getting life for drugs, it was just mind blowing for me. And I had a childhood friend that got life when he was like 23. But I thought it was just because we was from rural East Texas, right? It's just good old boy justice. They gave my friend Keon life for a drug conspiracy. when he was 23. But then when I came across Sharonda's case and started really studying the law, you know, I knew it was much more to it. So Sharonda Jones's case really changed my life forever.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. Big up to Sharonda
Yeah.
for getting your attention, you know what I mean? And getting your passion going, you know? Because, you know, once our passion go and we're in it, you know what I mean? There's nothing can stop us but us, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because people ask, oh, how did you do it? How did you do it? Man, I just stayed 10 toes down and kept pushing forward. And, you know, they pushed me back because how many times I had emotion in, every time I got touched, I had something in. I'm constantly shooting bullets at the court, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I got to hit, you know what I mean? I definitely can't hit if I don't shoot, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I had to shoot. But tell us a little bit more about your mother. How much time did she have? And did you get her out or did she serve her time? Or
no, my mama served her time. You know, she got 8 years in state prison. She did 2.5, you know, but that's part of the issue with the system too. My mama needed help. She needed rehabilitation. She didn't need prison.
Yeah.
You know, luckily she found it within herself to get sober in prison. But I always say my mama got clean and sober despite of prison, not because of prison. And so she got sober because she found the will within herself. So my mom has been sober, you know, for 14 years now. She was released in 2008. So she got sober in 2006 and she got her nursing license back. She actually works as a drug recovery nurse in Dallas.
Oh, that's big.
Doing really
How does she feel about what you're doing?
She loves it.
I'm quite sure she do. I mean, you know, but I mean, how does she feel about knowing that her struggles is what sparks your passion to get even stronger to say, let me go help?
Yeah, she understands, you know, like we do in my family, that our trials, you know, lead to triumphs, and it's so that we can share our journey and our story with other people. It was not easy, you know. People even that I talk to today, like they would have no idea that my mom was addicted to crack, or I dated a drug dealer, or my mom went to prison. But that's what I think makes my work so impactful, because I combine my lived experience with my legal experience. And I'm able to really empathize with my clients. I know what that is like. You know, I know that people, when they first get started, don't wake up every day to be a drug dealer. You know, a lot of people get in it to survive. I've seen it firsthand myself, and then get addicted to the money and the lifestyle. But for the most part, people not waking up to sell drugs every day. That's not something people are aspiring to do.
How do you choose the people that you choose to represent?
You know, I just feel like they choose me, you know, that it's just divine, especially at the beginning. Like Sharonda's case I came across in law school. And then I had other cases that were a group of guys who were co-defendants, were sentenced in 93. And they came to me through a friend of my dad's from high school, you know, and then Corey Jacobs, he read about me in the Washington Post. You know, I never was soliciting clients, because once I graduated law school, I went to practice corporate law. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I did mergers and acquisitions, you know, and I was working pro bono on these cases, like Sharonda's case. So I was literally helping to move billions of dollars of deals in the daytime. And then at night, I would come home and work on these cases pro bono. And so it was just kind of divine, for real, the way the cases came to me. And then in 2016, I decided to resign from corporate law, you know, to really follow my passion to help transform the system.
And that's when I met you, because on your website, it mentioned all that corporate law, you know, I don't want to say stuff, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't mean it in that manner as far as choose you. I mean, once they get at you, because I know more than one got at you, or more than two. So how do you narrow down who you're going to work with out of the many that come at you?
Yeah, well, that's the deal. I was a corporate lawyer, so there wasn't that many just coming at me. So the ones that came to me, they were divine. I took them all. I wasn't turning people down at the time, because I
got it.
I'm doing the work.
Got it.
Yeah. So once 2016 hit and I resigned and started doing more, you know, it still was coming at me here or there, because I was working with the Clemency Project a lot. So when your case came, like it wasn't hundreds of cases coming at me like it is today.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't trust you like I trusted you back then. That's basically it. But now that they see that you get no goats like me out, they say, "Oh man, she get him. I know she can get him." You know what I mean? Because it always look easier when it's on somebody else. So that's good though. So what do you think is in store for 2021? Like what's in the pipeline that they might want to know about, and who would be beneficial or with or supportive of it? You know what I mean? When the new, administration come in, whoever that is.
Yeah, I always say, like, at Buried Alive and the work we do, we can't afford to be partisan. We can't afford to pick a side. Either way, our clients got to get out of prison. They don't care who is in office to grant the clemency and all of that. I just am hopeful that whoever's in office takes transforming this criminal justice system very seriously, recognizes the power of clemency to grant more people clemency, and also works to change these laws. So the fight is the same for us. It's nothing that we aren't fighting for now that we won't be fighting for then. That's to make these laws retroactive, because it's people serving life today under yesterday.
Explain to them what retroactive means. Let's blow their mind. You know the Ring case, right? You know the Ring case? Out of Arizona, Ring versus Arizona. But that was a death penalty case. It's the lead death penalty case, Ring versus Arizona.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
Not familiar with it? Okay. Well, just give them one about how retroactivity works. That was the retroactivity case for the death penalty.
I'm going to bring it to the present day with the First Step Act. So Donald Trump signed the First Step Act in 2018. And in that act, it was 4 sentencing provisions. So one of the provisions made crack laws retroactive. So President Obama in 2010 signed the Fair Sentencing Act, but that law was not retroactive. So Donald Trump's bill made it retroactive for crack cases only. So we can get into talk about how we was able to use that to help you. But the First Step Act also included 3 other sentencing provisions. So I'm sure people are familiar with the 3 strikes law. The whole 3 strikes and you out, 3rd drug case, mandatory life sentence. Mandatory. So the First Step Act changed that. It made your 3rd drug case mandatory 25 years. But them 2 priors had to be serious, meaning you had to have went to prison for the 2 priors, and they had to have been within the past 15 years for them to count. But that law, that provision of the First Step Act was not retroactive, which means it doesn't reach back to help people already in prison. It's only going to help people sentenced in the future. So even though this law changed and it's going to help people sentenced in the future, it's not going to reach back to help the hundreds and thousands of people that's been in prison under these old laws. And so that's what we mean by retroactivity. And that's what we mean when we say, literally, there are people set to die in prison today for drugs under yesterday's drug laws. And for me, it makes no sense. If the law is wrong today, it was wrong yesterday.
Yeah, see, that Ring case that I mentioned, that's one that I used to use in the classes that I used to teach the youngins that I used to deal with. Because the Ring case was a case saying that the law changed today on November 1st, right? So anybody that breaks this law as of today, November 1st, you know what I mean, is a free man. You know what I mean? So it's no longer valid. But if you broke the law yesterday, you know what I mean, you got to stay with the sentence. So now you die. You got a choice of living or dying. So if you did it yesterday, like they're gonna kill a man because of what he did then. You know what I mean? And they changed the law, but they said don't go back to help him. It's only from the day of the enactment of the law. So everybody before it don't hurt. Like all these laws came out that all of us drug dealers had a chance to go in. You know what I mean? With all this mandatory minimum and all that, when they were changing the points and all, they kept saying it wasn't retroactive. Apprendi. You know what I mean? Like break down Apprendi versus United States so they understand about Apprendi, how it applied to us with keeping us out as far as, not being retroactive to be able to get your argument heard, even though they know you got them. And then you can't file another 2255 because you're only allowed to file one under the ADPA that Bill Clinton signed in. Break that down so they see the barriers that kept us out of court and kept us contained.
Yeah, so like Apprendi was a Supreme Court case. So the case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, the highest case in the land. And basically, in a nutshell, in layman's terms, it basically said that the jury has to find the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of all the elements in a crime. And so when that decision came out in 99, I think it was a watershed decision coming down from the Supreme Court, because at the time, the court, the judge, not the jury, was finding these facts by a preponderance of the evidence, which is a lower threshold. So when the Supreme Court said, the jury of your peers has to find beyond a reasonable doubt each element of the offense, people got excited because they hadn't been sentenced that way. Their judge had found this. And so when they found out it wasn't retroactive, it was just devastating. And so what that means was that Supreme Court case is going to help anybody sentenced in the future. All of the elements of the crime got to be proved to the jury beyond a reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. But people like Unique and other people who have been sentenced before 99 didn't benefit.
Mm-hmm. But everybody after 99 benefit.
But everybody after 99, it don't make any sense.
So I had to die in prison while they go home because it benefit them, but because they got me in 93, that don't apply to you. But it's the same law, but it don't apply to you back in 93. Only the people we pick up today. So you old citizens don't mean nothing to us. Keep rocking.
Makes no sense. It don't even. It's not even logically precise. No one who understands that. I don't understand the logic behind that at all. But people say, when these laws change, like the First Step Act, and it's not retroactive. Well, it's a matter of compromise. You have to compromise. The Democrats, Republicans have to compromise to get the bill passed. But to me, freedom shouldn't be a matter of compromise and convenience.
Exactly. And weaponized.
Right.
They've been weaponized in everything in Washington, D.C. If you want this, you got to give us this. You know what I mean? That's a weapon, tit for tat. You know what I mean? Give it to me because you feel it's a good bill and we need it for the people. You know what I mean? Or the masses wanted to need it. It's no longer what we need. You know what I mean? It's a matter of what they want. You know what I mean? Right. To let them elevate. And we're the last thing on their mind. You know what I mean? Just so you know. So don't think you got no friends or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But, Brittany's so smart, so intelligent. And you know what? Tell them about how when me and you was dealing, because everybody says I'm pushy. You know what I mean? I don't believe it. You know what I mean? They say I'm pushy, I'm arrogant, I'm cocky, I'm this and I'm that. I'm just unique. But how did I come off to you? Tell that to them now that I'm out. I know you had to feel like this black mother. You know what I mean?
For me,
keep 100, Brittany. Keep 100. I can take it.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with everybody. For me, it was like initially. So Unique is gone. He gonna ask me to take the case. I'm gonna take the case and do my job as a lawyer. But Unique is gonna tell me how to make the arguments and what arguments should go in there, which I understand. So part of it I seen as you want to get out of prison, like you've been in prison almost 30 years, when nobody had helped you and got you out. And so to you, nobody know your case better than you. You know the law, you know the avenues that should work. And so to me, I definitely considered everything that you sent me. Like I didn't ignore it. I read it. But to me too, I think when you out here practicing in the courts, you just have you're a little more in tune with what's happening. And so for Unique, it was like more of like, you got to trust me. Like you gonna have to trust me. I got it. I got the arguments. You're going to have to trust me. But it was definitely understandable because like I said, you had been in there when I started on the First Step Act stuff, like 26 years. So, and it was an uphill battle, so it was like trying to find the best avenue because freedom is more than one way to skin the cat. Like you got to go whatever angle you can get. And so at the time, I know you was looking at the clemency side because my client, Miss Alice, had got the clemency and it seemed like Donald Trump was going to give more. But I knew different. I knew the backstory to that. I knew it didn't seem like more people was going to get clemency at the time. And I had been following the First Step Act stuff and trying to see like, how can we help kingpins, the CCE charge, the kingpin charge. And so I saw a case come out of Judge Jackson's court that I sent to you, the Marty Wright case, and you knew Marty, and so
he's my judge.
Yeah, and then you told me that's my judge. And I was like, oh, okay, we really should try this angle, which yours was still another uphill battle because you have way more drugs. So it was just like, okay, let's try this angle. This is like, y'all, when I tell y'all this was brand new territory for me, for the court, we created precedent with Unique's case, which means that now that we won his case, so many people are using his case and able to use his case to help their case, to help them get out. So you see Judge Jackson letting out a drug kingpin, and you're able to use this law or this case, to help your loved one or whoever's in that same position. So, that's what I think people should understand too, with the work that we did, even though I think we butt heads, but I think it was always love too. Because I think, that I wasn't going to do anything to jeopardize your freedom. And I knew at some point you was going to have to trust me, and I knew that you would. But I know just as a man being in there so long and who you are, it wasn't easy for you to let go and let me take control. And that takes strength, for you to say, you got it. Look, Unique, I don't take that lightly. I need everybody to understand, like, as a lawyer, for me with my clients, like, it's a privilege for me to represent you. You know what I'm saying? It is something I don't take lightly. Mm-hmm. At all. And so knowing that we have somebody's life in our hands, it's no parole in the federal system, y'all. Mm-hmm. No parole.
Mm-hmm. Tell them again.
You got Unique serving the same amount of time as a Unabomber.
Hmm. And I was going to say,
no sense.
But that's how it was. Tell them about the 100 to 1 ratio, so they understand that. The 100 to 1 to the 100 to 1 ratio.
Yeah.
Tell them about that. How
Yeah. So I found out about the 100 to 1 ratio in law school when I was working on Sharonda's case, and what I found is in 1986, not 94 under the crime bill, but in 1986, Congress had passed this Anti-Drug Abuse Act, and in this act, it created this 100 to 1 sentencing ratio between powder cocaine and crack cocaine. So what that meant was Unique could have 500 grams of powder cocaine. I could have only 5 grams of crack, and me and Unique was going to get the same time in prison. Now, everybody knows, it's not lost on anybody, that more wealthy, affluent white people was using powder, and crack in the late 80s was running rampant through Black communities. And so this 100 to 1 ratio created this disproportionate disparity in sentencing between powder cocaine and crack cocaine. And so now when you look up, over 80% of the people in prison for drugs are Black and brown. And, people can say it was unintentional, that the law ended up being racially biased. I think everything in this system is intentional, is flawed in its design. And because of that 100 to 1 ratio sent a bunch of Black people to prison. And so when you look at powder and crack getting sentenced so differently, when it's 2 forms of the same drug, you can't even have crack without powder, but their sentence is such a different way. I mean, come on now, we got to call a spade, and that law was racially unjust and biased. And it caused a lot of Black people to be locked up. And it's time that, we work to pick those locks, the human cages, and get them free. I can't hear you.
Yeah. I said, does it make it easier on yourself when you represent people that know their case extensively, like really know their case? Or do you prefer them, not to know anything so that they won't be a pain in the butt like Unique want to think they could tell you what to do?
No, I think it's good when they know their case, because, I'm human too. So it's could be something that I've overlooked. But, I do feel that when you have a lawyer that once you feel that trust, that if you can find it within yourself, to let them go, that just make everybody's job easier. But I'm gonna tell you this too. Everybody ain't like Brittany.
Exactly.
Everybody's not gonna come in and represent you like Brittany. Yep. So I understand too that there's this whole distrust in lawyers in general. And so I have to overcome that, in order to gain the trust. And you're not the first one, it's been a few clients, you know, that I have to be like, okay, you got to trust me. And it's almost sometimes it wasn't with yours, but it could get to the point where it's like, okay, you going to trust me or you going to do it yourself? Mm-hmm. Because it just causes so much friction. And people got to understand too, like the weight on me, you know, on my co-counsel, we feel the weight of people's lives on us, and a lot of people's lives, you know, not just them, but their families. And it's really heavy work, you know, and as Black women carrying the torch, doing this work, you know, we all got to work in partnership together. And so out of all these years, you know, I've had really blessed clients and relationships. It's been one or two, you know, that it was like, come on, man, like I would have to threaten to withdraw. It had got so bad, but getting so bad in a sense of, you know, we have so many people to free, you know, on top of the fact that the work that we do is pro bono. So it's not like we charge $50,000 retainers, you know, and that people can handle us real rough.
Would you take like, do you take cases that's not life sentences?
Not right now. We don't. We just have so many life sentences. We just don't have the capacity. Like I wish we had more lawyers, you know, to help us with this work, but everybody's not going to come in and do this work for free, you know, and everybody not going to have the same heart as we have. And so we've been recruiting more lawyers, trying to go through law firms, because I worked at a big law firm, so I know they can take these cases, but we got so many lifers. We got to really stay focused on the lifers.
Okay. But it's like, I don't know, man. So what do you think about the 404 Trump thing only helping people that has crack and not the people that has powder or heroin?
I think it's important. You know, I wish that it went further. It's a first step. You know, we were able to use it to be creative. It's definitely a limited piece of legislation. But it's the first step, and we got to do what we got to do with it. But that doesn't mean that we should stop there. You know, I think that crack in those sentences related to crack, for the most part, it is like a huge population of the people in federal prison for drugs or crack sentences. And because of that 100-to-1 ratio, they were already sentenced so much more harshly than people with powder. But unfortunately, you know, it blocks out people with powder. We've seen it, you know, in some of the cases we have. And it doesn't mean they're less deserving of their freedom. You know, it just means that this is the first step that had to be taken, and we got to run with it. So hopefully we can find other creative ways to help lifers, you know, with other types of drugs. Because in my opinion, nobody should be serving no life sentence for dope. Like, that is beyond me. I don't understand that at all. That's a fundamental death sentence. Waking up every single day, said to die in prison. I don't understand it.
I asked that because, you know, I want me and you to have a round table about this. We need to take this out there to the masses. You know what I mean? For somebody coming from the inside, outside, you know. Remember, they said that the disparity between crack cocaine and powder cocaine is why they signed in the 404 to make it, you know, equal. You understand what I'm saying? Because of that disparity, right? But that's also disparity towards heroin and powder cocaine, you know. And I say that because you got good brothers that got heroin cases that was locked up a decade before me, like, you know, Welcome Home, you know, Guy Fisher's home. I know you know Guy Fisher home, so the big homie home. You know what I mean? Welcome Home, that's heroin. You know what I mean? Then you got William Underwood. You know what I mean? Cory Booker was trying to do something for him real big, you know, if he would have won the presidency, you know what I mean, or the nomination. But he didn't. But Underwood is one that got locked up from in the early 80s too for heroin. And this man, I don't think he ever even had an institutional write-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Not one. You know what I mean? But he's sitting there with life with no parole, and I don't even think he ever been arrested before. But, you know, he has heroin. You know what I mean? So the thing that got me out don't help him because of the type of drug he had. You know.
That's where you come with that. That's where that compromise that they have, that they making, that's leaving. I wholeheartedly agree with you. There's no reason that other people with different types of drugs are serving life sentences. You know, we had to work with the law that we had, but we didn't pass the law. You know, they was working to do this compromise. And I represent. I know Mr. Underwood well, his daughter Ebony, his son Anthony. You know, I love them like my own family, and I hope it's a way for Mr. Underwood to get out. You know, and I represented the Torres brothers. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Victor and Jorge Torres. They did 32 years for heroin. You know, on a life sentence, but we won their case in the Southern District of New York. So they were released in June, but we used compassionate release. So we just had to be, they weren't sick, you know, or not terminally ill. So we had to find extraordinary and compelling reasons for them to be free. So as lawyers, you know, we have to work within the bounds of laws that are just outside the bounds of moral consciousness. And we have to be creative, and we have to understand that progressive lawyering is a form of modern day activism. And so that's what we do, you know, and the work that we have is we try to take whatever tools are available for us to get people free. But I wholeheartedly agree with you. Like, there's no reason that Mr. Underwood should still be in prison, or anyone like him. There's several people that we communicate with at Buried Alive that have powder cases or heroin, even meth, you know?
Okay, let's talk about another one then. Another one of the statutes that's unjust. That okay, how about the Miller case that just came out? Familiar with the Miller case, Washington Supreme Court, saying that the thing Boy George trying to get out on, if you're under 18, you know that the juvenile can't get life.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Okay, I got a good friend of mine that I just left, a brother that you know. He wanted me to talk to you from I was in there. I told him I'll wait till I get out here. But he's caught up because he caught his case when he was under 18, and he fits the criteria for that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Saying that he's under 18 and he shouldn't be able to get the life sentence. And he's been down 32 years. And that was his first arrest, I think. You know what I mean? And what's his name? You probably know his co-defendant, Corey. From Eport Posse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Corey from Eport Posse. With his co-defendant, Irvin Betha, Amir. You know, that's my brother. I definitely, you know, would like you to at least look at it. I think that'll be an avenue that y'all could use that would help a lot of brothers, because you got brothers that been in there since they were 17. They waited till they turned 18, gave them a federal charge, and then now they got a life sentence, and they know they shouldn't even give them a life sentence. They got 30, 40 years in. You know what I mean? And look younger than me, because they spent the whole life in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I actually was in a prison visit last year with Boy George and a guy named Eve Rivera who was working on his story, you know, for the big screen. So I've been in talks with them, you know, too. And right now, like, the avenue we got is that compassionate release angle, like we worked for the Torres brothers, you know, and hopefully whoever's in office, you know, I think they still count votes. I keep looking at my phone to see what's going on, but, you know, hopefully we see more clemencies coming through, because clemency is where justice meets mercy. And presidents have that sole exclusive power to grant clemency, granted to them by the Constitution. Can't nobody check them with their clemency power, and it just needs to be used a whole lot more.
Would you at least look into that for me, please?
I can have some. Yeah, we can do it. I have. Help me.
Because I think it might be something that might be an avenue that you could use. I know a lot of brothers in there with that, and like the 924C. You know what I mean? The stacking of the guns. Explain to them about the stacking of the guns and how that one is crazy.
Yeah, that one is really crazy. I don't do 924Cs because we have two of us. We have so many drug cases. But what happens is with the guns, like I'll take Weldon Angelos, for example. So Weldon Angelos got like 55 years in prison, and he was selling marijuana. Turned into a federal case. And when he was arrested, they said he had sold marijuana on like 3 different occasions. And he was carrying a handgun when he sold marijuana. So with the 924C stacking, the first marijuana sale got him 5 years for the gun. The second one got him 25 years for the gun, but they have to stack the sentences, meaning they don't run concurrent. So that means he got to serve that 5 first, then the 25 will start. But remember, I said he had 3 different drug buys for this marijuana. The third one got him another 25 stacked. So he got 5, a 25, another 25. So he got 55 years mandatory sentence for these drug transactions where he allegedly was selling marijuana and allegedly had a gun, the same gun. It wasn't 3 different guns, the same gun on 3 different transactions. And the judge had no choice but to give him the 55 years. Actually, the judge spoke out at Weldon's sentencing from the bench. He did not want to give Weldon this type of time. He only gave Weldon 1 day for the marijuana because he had to stack these gun charges. Luckily, Weldon had a good team of lawyers and a great support system. After he served, over a decade, they were able to work and help get him free through the court. But it's people that I've seen, they got like 300 years.
Yeah.
924C, which is technically a life sentence, where they might have robbed a bank, or they might have robbed 5 banks, for example, with the same gun. But that first robbery is a 5-year sentence, and the other 4, you got to stack those 25 on top of each other. So that's 105 years in those situations.
Man, that's crazy. But there's so many brothers in there, man, that you wouldn't believe the sentence they got. And the simple is, what really disappointed me about the Obama clemency thing that he did? It was a brother that never been locked up a day in his life. Good kid, used to work out there, I worked with him a couple of times, but really good kid, never been arrested, He'd been down like 13 years on a 25-year sentence. He got arrested because his girl got pregnant, got put out the house, and he was staying there with her. So her mother put out both of them. So he went and tried to make a sale one time for 9 ounces that was supposed to put him on his feet. And he got arrested in an abandoned building where he went to take the drugs. And when they grabbed him and said, FBI, you've been set up by John Blow, he said, man, I plead guilty, man. Times was hard. I did what I had to do. I don't want to make y'all think no harder. I just want to plead guilty. You give me whatever lenient sentence you could give me. And they gave the boy 25 years, mandatory minimum. And then when he filled out the thing for Obama, it went just like that. The man never been arrested a day in his life. And they denied him.
Wow. What I think people don't understand with the Obama thing is when people are denied, it's like Obama denied my clemency when 9 times out of 10, Obama never even saw
it. Yeah, we understand that.
It was going.
It was ran nasty. That's what it wasn't organized. You know what I mean?
It wasn't organized, but the clemency process in general is just a shit show. Yeah. You file a petition with the pardon attorney. If they recommend it, it goes to the Department of Justice, the same department that got the prosecutors that sent you to prison to start with, and it goes through about 6 different levels of review in the Department of Justice. Then it go to White House counsel if they recommend it. Then it goes to President Obama. So many of them cases, when they was denied, they weren't making it out of the Department of Justice. They weren't even getting to the White House because you got these career prosecutors that's reviewing them and denying them. And so to me, the clemency process, is totally needs to be transformed. We shouldn't have the Department of Justice involved with clemency petitions at all. And as different as it may be, that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He's granting clemencies without going through the Department of Justice. And, as off policy as it is, really, we don't.
It really makes sense.
Because we don't need the Department of Justice.
The people that's up there that's reviewing it, they're playing defense lawyers. You know what I mean? Instead of playing, neutral and saying, justice is blind, and I'm going to just review your paperwork based on what it has. And Sly, Mr. Research, adios. What up, homie? Now, no one is blaming Obama. You know what I mean? Because like she said, Obama had nothing to do with it. He didn't know what was going on. He wasn't even a part of it. He just put people in place that were supposed to handle it, but he didn't put the right people in place. He put the same prosecutors that locked us up, you know what I mean? Which they were their thing. It don't matter if you walk it in, run it in, or crawl it in. You know what I mean?
A lot of them prosecutors, he didn't even put there. Like they was.
What I'm saying. He didn't see none of that stuff.
There,
It was unorganized and it wasn't put out there for us. You know what I mean? It was put out there for white collar crime people, things like that. But now when you got to get psychiatrists to look into the background of how the person was over 20 years, because over 20 years, that mind going to change some type of way on you. So don't think that 20 years in prison, you're saying, I mean, you know what I mean? Everybody got some type of disorder, whether it's stronger than others or weaker than others. But either way, we know how to balance it and move forward with it. And to me, that's one of the best parts, one of the best traits I know of criminals. You know what I'm saying? That we know how to adjust and adapt because we're ready to adapt because we're always expecting someone to attack. And then we come up in our mind with a quick defense to survive that. You understand?
Yeah, for sure. And for me, with President Obama and his clemency initiative, what I won't let anybody take is that it was historic. He granted more clemencies than any other president combined in modern day history. I got 7 clients that got clemency from President Obama, so I surely can't say anything bad about him. I can say that the initiative could have done a lot better.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, he tried. Bottom line, he tried. Ain't nobody else tried. That man tried. He get his credit. He tried. But like I said, the right people wasn't there to put it together to make it move like a machine, like it was supposed to. Because you don't know who you getting to review your paperwork, and you get people that don't even deserve to review no paperwork, that never even handled a criminal case looking at this. They gave me an environmental specialist lawyer.
You never know, or it could be the same person that prosecuted you 20 years ago that's done made their way up the ladder, DOJ, and they look at it again.
So that's what to me was unfair about it, But your book, man. Your book.
Yes.
Tell them about your book, man. That way they know you're not just a lawyer, that you're all around, goddess.
Yeah. So my book, I wrote the book. It took me 2 years to write the book. Mm-hmm. It came out in September, about 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. And it really just follows my journey, of showing the transformation of my understanding of injustice in the courts, of genius, languishing behind bars, and it truly shows how my definition of freedom has evolved, and it's so crazy, Unique, because I work and I get a lot of people out of prison, mm-hmm. and I still have a hard time calling myself a criminal defense lawyer. And that's just because I'm so much more than that. I'm a corporate lawyer. People have no idea. I used to move all these deals and do all these mergers and acquisitions. And so as I think through it, and think of the people I've met, like you, other clients that I have, my clients, some of them are the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life. And so looking at you and like your story and just seeing how you move now, you ain't even been out 6 months, and seeing how you move now, like just what could your brilliant mind have been doing if you wasn't locked away for a quarter of a century? When you just look at how this system is oppressing our brilliance and our genius, almost as if they scared. They got to put their foot on your neck for 25 years because they don't know what you could have done if you had to realize you could have used your genius for good. Mm-hmm. The impact that you could have had, that's scary to a lot of people in power, and so seeing that's what I'm talking about in the book. Talking about how I grew up, and my mom and her drug addiction and going to law school and working to free people, I just think it's so much genius behind bars. And so that's what I'm working on through the book, is to show the multi-dimensional sides of me as a Black woman, because they always trying to push Black women in a corner. I can do a lot more than get people out of prison. I can be in the courtroom and I can be in the boardroom. And so because I was, this ain't cap at all. And so using that, I'm able to merge those worlds. And so what I'm looking at now, is I can't keep helping free people from prison and restore them to poverty. Mm-hmm. Because that's how people got there to start with. Like, people need to be put in positions to thrive, not just survive. They got to flourish. And so I'm like holding this vision of creating sustainable liberation, helping the people. Like, are we just freeing people from this one system, but what are we freeing them into? And so I've been trying to merge my worlds, just the corporate world with the criminal world, and how can I really fulfill my highest and best use with all that I am, you know what I'm saying? And so just working now, just being a social entrepreneur, I've invested in a trucking company, and we have 3 semi trucks on the road. Our drivers have been directly impacted by the system. They driving interstate, making good money. Sharonda Jones, before she went, she had a restaurant, amazing cook. I talk about her in my book and all the cooking she did before prison and during prison. And her dream was to have a food truck so that she can hire people coming out the halfway house. When she was in the halfway house, she saw how hard it was for them to get a job. So she's like, if I could get this food truck and hire people coming out the halfway house, I'm gonna give a work and give them a job so they can check that box at the halfway house. And so about a month ago, I invested in her company. It's gonna be called Fed Up, fed up with the system, being in the feds and
Okay.
all of that. And she's working now. Next week, the inside will be all custom. And so I invested in her company. So I'm looking to find ways of raising capital, in order for people to be economically liberated, because liberation is much more than just coming out from behind a wall.
Definitely. Where would you tell the viewers that's looking to research or to look to find, agencies and nonprofits and pro bonos that could help their loved ones get out?
Man, I really don't even know. I don't know any, nonprofit people that are doing this work pro bono. Like Brian Stevenson's group for sure is doing this work pro bono. They're focused more on state cases. He started doing a lot of death penalty cases. Then he started doing a lot of juvenile life cases. Like you mentioned, Brian Stevenson had one of the cases that went to the Supreme Court that made it unconstitutional for people with juvenile to get life sentences. His organization is called the Equal Justice Initiative, and he's a hero of mine.
Oh, we might have to holler at him for a minute. Irvin, huh?
Yeah, he is like.
If he does the juvenile thing, that's what he's into,
Yeah, he does state cases, mostly in Montgomery, Alabama. Southern Poverty Law Center, I know they do some pro bono work. The Innocence Project, of course, but that's for people who are innocent. I think with the Buried Alive Project, we really own to something, providing pro bono legal support. And I'm hoping with the work that we do and the way we helping to shift the narrative, because y'all shifting the narrative, you shifting the narrative with the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you moving every day, of showing what freedom looks like, and helping to shatter those perspectives. And so I'm hoping with this movement we're building of people we're freeing, that we can get more lawyers on board to help.
Most definitely. Now, I got a homie, I've been in ranks. I got homies all over the place, right? But I got a homie from DC named Goldie Dobie, right? And is there any places in the district of DC that you could, refer them to go to? Because I got a lot of district homies, and their cases are all federal cases, but the laws, the statutes is a little different still. So, is there any places that you could recommend to the viewers from DC that's listening?
Not pro bono. I honestly don't know any. My assistant has been working, and I have another team. We've been trying to put together a list of resources, because we literally get hundreds of calls a week, because our work has gotten such a national spotlight, but unfortunately we don't have national funding, which makes it harder for us to do the work. And we want to be careful who we refer people to, because we need whoever we refer people to move like we do. And it's just been really difficult to find, very difficult to find, especially on a pro bono basis.
Okay, what advice would you give the families of the incarcerated loved ones that serve in life sentence for drug crimes with no violence?
Never give up. I would say never give up for one. If you got a life sentence for drugs in the federal system, then y'all need to be emailing info@buriedaliveproject.org. We are so determined and focused on lifers. I believe this whole system needs to be dismantled, transformed, whatever you want to say, but what I understand and what I hope people realize is I'm one person. If I could help everybody, I would. And that's the God's honest truth. But I know my limits too, in my capacity. And so what we do is we focus on a specific group of lifers so that we can be more effective in our work. And so, it's hundreds and hundreds of more lifers to go.
Yeah, most definitely. But it's just amazing.
If you got a life sentence for drugs, somebody with life for drugs in the feds, please email info@buriedaliveproject.org.
Most definitely. That's Buried Alive. Tell them about Buried Alive. What does it consist of? What is it offering?
Yeah. So
Excuse me, to cut you off. Didn't Kim Kardashian and Kanye? That's the one you were saying that they invested in or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
explain that. A lot of people thought they owned it because her face was around it.
Oh
So,
no! So the Buried Alive project was started long before Kim Kardashian. So it is a nonprofit that works to free people serving life sentences in federal prison for drugs, and we work to end the policies, that put them there. And so the Buried Alive project, I co-founded it with my client Corey Jacobs and Sharonda Jones. So Corey and Sharonda both were serving life for drugs. They both got clemency from President Obama. And we linked arms and co-founded the Buried Alive project because they felt like, and Unique, you may can identify with this, but they felt a survivor's remorse almost when they got free because they knew they had left so many people behind that deserved their freedom just as much as they did. And so we got together to work to help reach back, and help free people who were serving those fundamental death sentences. Like Sharonda would say, I was walking through the valley of a shadow of death under that life sentence. Y'all are waking up every day facing a reality that would be unbearable for many people. And so for us, those life sentences are just unique. And they're unique because people got to realize y'all are looking at a man that was set to never breathe air as a free person ever again in his life. And it takes a special type of grace and dignity to carry that life sentence. And I know people are always like, well, y'all ought to help other people. Everybody don't got life, but we got to focus. We have to focus to be effective. And people should not be set to die in prison. And so because Corey and Sharonda had life, we chose to focus on lifers. So Buried Alive was started with me, Corey, and Sharonda with no funding. I was basically funding the work myself. Because I was a corporate lawyer, I was in a good financial position. I was funding the work myself. I got out, tried to apply for grants from these big foundations, and they wasn't giving us any money because they didn't want to fund pro bono legal representation. They said what we do is provide direct services, and these foundations want to fund policy work, people working to change the law, which is good. We need to work to change the law, but in the meantime, people got to be getting out of prison because it could take years to change the law. And so what happened was I had known Alice Johnson for a long time. She was actually in prison with Sharonda. So I had known Alice Johnson since I was in law school. And her and Sharonda were best friends. A lot of people don't realize that I had a history with both of them. And so Alice told her story to a media outlet, Mike.com, and it was a video interview and it went viral. And Kim Kardashian just so happened to be on Twitter and saw Alice's story. And she was not only moved to tears, she was moved to action. And so that's how I started working with Kim on Alice's case. And once Alice was freed through clemency from Donald Trump, Kim wanted to really use her voice and platform and resources to help more people. So she helped to fund some of the cases we had last year. My co-counsel, my angel Cody, and I linked arms and did 90 days of freedom. And we worked to free 17 men in 90 days serving life for drugs. And Kim Kardashian helped to fund that. And then for Kim's birthday last year, Kanye donated money to 4 different criminal justice organizations, and Buried Alive was one of them. So the funding that we received from Kanye on Kim's behalf helped fund some of our work last year, but part of it is like a double-edged sword because she's able to use her platform to really help raise awareness about these issues. It has people talking about these issues, but that also, gives us a really major national spotlight. So people think Buried Alive is just bankrolled by Kim Kardashian or Kanye, and that's absolutely not true. Like, we struggle every day to find funding to help us continue to do this work.
Yeah, because I know it costs about an hour to deal with them attorneys. I dealt with them for 26. How many hours? How many you said you got out? 35 or 25?
I've gotten 25 out by myself. Yeah.
Okay, roughly how many hours you think you put in to do that?
Oh man, a lot. I would say each case, like every case is different. Like your case was a lot harder, because we had the kingpin charge we had to be, but say like our average First Step Act case, I'm probably putting 40 to 60 hours in them. And so take that, like I really could be out charging $400 an hour if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's why I asked. You know what I mean? That's a lot of free hours.
Yeah, because you think we're putting together the motions, but then the government, in all the cases we won with First Step, the government opposed every single case.
Exactly.
And so once we file our motion, the government they opposing it, like, nah, don't let them out. So then we got to file a reply. Some of them we've had to go to court and argue at sentencing. So these are taking us months long, you know. So yeah, it's about average 40 to 60 hours for some of the cases that we take on. And so even with your case, like you didn't just get out of jail free, you know, the government not wants you to get out.
Yeah, yeah, you know. So how does it feel? How do you feel about being honored for the America's most outstanding young lawyers by the American Bar Association? How that make you feel?
Yeah, you know, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. You know, I try to remain humble, and you know, I truly do wish that recognition like that. My hope is that it gets other lawyers involved. You know, we gotta step up as lawyers. It's definitely a moral failure to me of American lawyers when it comes to this system. Like I think police take the brunt, and they should. Members of Congress take the brunt, and they should. But lawyers are the judges, like the prosecutors. Oftentimes they go on to be members of Congress, you know, and lawyers have to step up and do their part because there's not many professions where you can work to save somebody's life, literally.
Yeah, true.
Somebody's life.
Before we close out, I wanted to bring in, you know, someone, the person that introduced me to you and, you know, represented you and contacted you and, you know, and hired you for me. You know what I mean? And I know you remember Miss Susan Feinberg. There she go.
Hi.
Hi,
you want to tell
Brittany.
them how you met Susan? Do you remember?
She either called me or emailed me. She had heard of me. I think she got a recommendation to reach out to me, and she either called or emailed me, you know, and we went from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see,
when I was working with Cut 50 with Van Jones and his organization, and I organized this Clemency Now Hope for the Holidays event in DC. Sue was there with a sign with your picture on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she got the shirt on. That's the shirt from the event.
Yeah, behind the release, Waynesworth Hall, the shirt. I mean, she was like an angel too that came in, man. I mean, I knew her when I was much younger, you know, doing my New Jersey days, and she found me on the Facebook and all that, in like maybe 2016, 15 maybe, and you know, she came into my life. Started, you know, I mean, if you're not a know, but jump in, cut me off. You know, I'm an old man. My memory ain't there. But like I said, with 2014, 15, same thing. You know what I mean? That's like, oh, he's 17. No, he's 16. You know. But anyway, Susan came in and you know, really put things together and you know, helped me tremendously to get out. And I just wanted to bring her on and tell her thank you in front of you and in front of everybody watching. You know what I mean? She was a lifesaver, just like you, Brittany, was a lifesaver. And, you know, you want to tell them anything, Susan?
Yes, I just want to say to Brittany, you are our angel, and I'm so grateful to you for freeing.
Oh, thank you.
And bringing him home to his mother and his kids. I'm truly grateful to you. You're an angel.
Thank you so much. You know, it takes a village for sure. And being the lawyers, you know, there are a lot of loved ones who are advocates and bring these cases to our attention, and also just stand in solidarity with us as we do the work, you know. And so it was a journey, you know, with groups of people. So I was happy to link arms with you, and I'm glad, you know, we didn't get the result we wanted then, you know, but it turned out to be a nice, sweet victory, you know, and God's timing is not always our timing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because, and you know, I'm going to give them this with you there, Brittany, and then I'm going to close out. When after I lost the clemency, when Brittany got on in 2016, you know, of course I'm down, and I'm like, man, I done lost it. So then here we go, comes the 2018, and I'm chilling, I'm doing my thing, and a new case came out, criminal case that could have got me home, but I had to get closer, you know, I had to get to North Carolina. So the lawyer contacted my unit team, told them to get me North Carolina. They get them out thinking the unit team is on my side, but the unit team ain't on my side. So therefore they come, they get me that night. They locked me up in the shoe and they tell me they want me to sign some papers saying that a lady gave me her cell phone to use and I gave it back to her and she took it home because they had a picture of her holding up a candy bag with a piece of candy in it. But anyway, they wanted the lady fired and wanted me to work with them. I wouldn't do it. So therefore they said, okay, you've been out 25 years and you still ain't trying to, work with us. So therefore you're not programming. So we're going to put you down for poor institutional adjustment for not adjusting to the medium security prison by telling us whatever goes on. You know what I mean? So now they take me and they send me out to California. I'm pissed. I'm in Florida, 45 minutes from my mom. People come and see my mom, come see me. Now I'm all the way out in California. I felt like it was the worst thing that happened to me, but I said, you know what? God is sending me there for a reason. You know what I mean? When I got out there to California, the psych, every time you go in jail, the psych see you, talk to you, and the first thing they want to do is pump you full of meds. But they come see me, and when they try to pump me full of meds, they looked at my thing, they said, man, you did a lot of psychological program. I see you was involved in such and such and such and such. And they referred me to the psych. She told me to come down there the next morning. Next morning, I go down there and she hires me to work with her office. And then you contact me a little bit after that and said you wanted a resume. You know what I mean? As far as what I've been doing in prison and so on and so on, letters from the administration. So I go to the psych to go get the letter, but I only been there about 4 or 5 months at the time. You know what I mean? So she said, well, all I can do is go through your record and see what we have down and go from that. So she went through my record and she wrote me this 3-page glowing letter that even Brittany would tell you. I mean, she got fired for writing that letter, Brittany.
Oh.
They fired her for writing the letter because they tried to tell her never to do it again, and she refused to do it. She said, no, when he screwed up, stabbed the police, started the riot, sold drugs in the prison, y'all put him in the shoe and sent him to ADX for messing up. You know what I mean? But now that he's doing good, you telling me that the report that I wrote to put him in ADX is all you want. You don't want a report showing what he did after ADX and the man he's became today. You know what I mean? So that's why, she helped me down and represented me, but they wound up firing her. You know what I mean? Because she refused to stop writing the letters. You know what I mean? My brother that I mentioned, Irvin Bether, he's down there with her now. She wrote him a nice letter, and that was the final straw in the camel's back with them. But I say all that to say that they sent me out there. I didn't want to go out there, but I knew God was sending me there for a reason. I got out there, the first day I got there, white boy got killed that Friday morning. I got there Thursday night. We locked down till Monday. We came out 2 days later after somebody got his whole leg blown off. You know what I mean? By the tower. I mean, I'm like, man, they got me in the twilight zone. I was in a spot where I was getting up early in the morning, go outside, work out, big speakers, hook up the little cheap MP3 player. And it's like the closest thing to freedom in 26 years. You know what I mean? So then now when they got me over there in California and all of that go down, that letter is what helped the gear. And tell me if I'm wrong. That letter from the psych is what helped to put the icing on the cake with dealing with the judge to get someone from the inside and of that statute to say that they would welcome me, Unique, as their neighbor, and that I was ready to be released.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Getting a letter of support from any member of BOP staff is a big deal. It does not happen. We don't get those in every case, y'all. And so for someone like Unique to also get it from her and it be, it wasn't even just a paragraph. Like you said, it was 3 pages long. And so a lot of the things that were put into that letter, Judge Jackson even mentioned in his order, because he didn't just let Unique out. He wrote a lengthy order showing that he really deeply considered this issue. And, it people just have to understand, like with First Step Act, any of these laws that pass, it's not just open the prison doors and everybody walks out. This is a lot of work, y'all. Yeah. It's a lot of anxiety, pain, mental violence. We wait, and like I said, the government was trying to keep Unique in, and Judge Jackson really sat with that case. And he wrote an opinion that people are using right now to get out.
I didn't know that until you just mentioned it. I should have figured that, but I ain't even stopped. I just been running, you know what I mean, to not stop and think. Dudes don't understand, or people don't understand that I do what I do because this is the way I survived in it. You know what I mean? For 26 years, I kept moving. I kept active, kept my mind active. So I didn't have to stop and feel sorry for myself or the other good brothers around me. So I just kept moving. You know what I mean? And just moving, doing positive things towards getting to the next goal and the next step, like playing mental chess. You understand what I'm saying? So now that I'm out here, I keep moving. Because if I sit down and stop to really think what's going on, man, I'll break down and I don't know what. I'll probably lose my mind right now if I just shut down and thought about what's going on. You understand?
You know, I had another client at Victorville. He was serving life too. I got him out in 2015, and he was at Victorville. You know, and he said you can lose your mind or your life in the drop of a.
Yo, listen, I've never, man, 26 years, they had me in ADX underground, locked in 23 hours a day. None of that had nothing on that Victorville, man. That Victorville, man, they take you in the kitchen. They give you a little tray like this on a hamburger day. You get a hamburger literally the size of a silver dollar. You know what I mean? And 2 cold buns. And literally, I'm not lying. You ask anybody been out there. And 3 or 4 French fries. If you get 5 French fries, you're doing good in Victorville on a Wednesday. And nobody says anything. Yo,
and that is torture. That's mental violence. You go through all that under a life sentence.
Listen, I go
all that.
Let me tell you this. I go up to the first day I get there. I go up there. It was hamburger day, chicken day. So I go through the line, and I just come from a joint where they give you big chicken, sweet potato. I'm in down south, Coleman, Florida, and Orlando, Tampa area, where they good old country boys. Everybody black work in the kitchen. You know what I mean? So I'm used to eating where they giving you big pheasants and French fries like this, you know what I mean? So I go through there on chicken, they give me this little cold wing. I mean, the damn thing look like a pigeon wing. They got a bunch of pigeons outside. I looked at the man, I said, yo, dog, would you get this to your kid? And he looked at me like, because he's not used to no one confronted him about anything. I don't know how they broke him like that, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna hurry up and get the end of it. So he looked, and I said, yo, would you feed that to your kid? I said, dude, would that even fill you up? You know what I mean? What am I going to do with that? And he's looking at me and said, look, yo, keep quiet, man. Here, I'm going to give you another tray. You can't make no scene because ain't nobody else going to say nothing. We don't want to wake them up. And gave me another tray and told me to go about my business because by me talking, you know, if my homies come over, you know what I mean? Then everybody's going to say, yeah, the food ain't right. Because all it needs is one person because we like cows. You know what I mean? They had me in an old prison farm where I used to have to chase cows up and down the thing. All they do is they teach that sheepdog to chase one cow. And that one cow, when he move, all the rest is going to move. When he move, he move. And that's the way they work us in the prison system. You know what I mean? They treat one house, you know what I mean? And get him to conform to the way he want him to go. And he run around spreading the gospel of how the administration want their prison to run. So now when they get a guy like Unique that come in and say, yo, dog, that ain't enough food, man. I'm not moving till you feed me. You know what I mean? And I don't care if you call a warden or whoever, because they got menus that tell you how much, you know what I mean, calories and everything I'm supposed to get. I got 3 French fries, dog. What am I can't even smack you with 3 French fries. It ain't enough to do nothing. And I want to smack you right now. You know what I mean? If he with the tray, I mean, I wouldn't even get no food on it because nothing on the tray. You know what I mean? But, you know, that's how it was. And it's crazy because they let the administration do anything. I'm out now, so I'm telling like it is. They let them do anything. But you sit in front of one of their TVs and you're losing your life instantly. They got like 15, 20 TVs on a pole. I've never seen that many TV. You know what I mean? They pacified everybody. They got a Blood TV, a Quip TV, a Netta TV, a Sereno TV, a Border Brother TV, a Tango Blast TV, a Oompa Foompa TV, and everybody got their own TV. Just don't bother the police and sit down and watch TV. It's TV time. You know what I mean? And they get mad when I go teasing them. I'm like, yo, dog, you don't see everybody sitting around looking up at the ceiling like this, and the police in the office chilling on his cell phone. And everybody's just sitting up looking at the ceiling at this TV. And they watching Love and Hip Hop. Of course, they watching sports. But I mean, you know, I haven't watched a Super Bowl or none of that. Like I said, you know what I mean? Playoffs. I haven't watched none of that in 26 years. I couldn't do it with a life sentence on my back. You know what I mean? And then when I'm reading these rich kids, you know what I mean? They get a break. You know what I mean? They'll get 100 million, 50 million. And then now, you know, kicked your wife in the elevator. You know what I mean? You know, choked out your mama. Like, yo, dude, what is wrong with you? You made it.
Yeah, it definitely is torture, it's slavery, evolved. And so I definitely salute you, Unique, and your survivorship. And again, thank you for trusting me with your life. And I'm really happy and grateful to see you free. And, you know, I love you and we connected forever.
Well, thank you as well. And you're definitely welcome. And thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
That was my support team that fought and got me out. Just so y'all know, we've been here long enough. I'm getting ready to cap out. Brittany, it was wonderful. Like I said, you know what I mean? The book, you know what I mean?
Yes. Book.
Finally. Oh, hey, tell them about when was the book supposed to be out? When was it supposed to be out?
It was supposed to be out June 16th.
Okay, but what happened?
Coronavirus.
No, before that. The date before that.
It was June. It's always been June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was due. I had to turn it in.
Yeah, when you had to turn it in, I mean.
I had to turn it in. While I was working on your case, I was finishing it.
But that's the point that I'm making, that, you know, you put your book on hold to even get me out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all of that, and I listen to all of that. You know what I mean? Don't think that I'm out and I'm running wild, man. Screw her, I'm out now. You know, and like I said, what's her name? That Karen Morrissey said she worked on the case. Brittany's the only one that worked on my case single-handedly. I ain't deal with nobody else with my case. I'm an arrogant, cocky dude, and I can't get along with everybody, especially when we're dealing with the law, because I know mine. You know what I mean? So, you know, Brittany, thank you for single-handedly freeing me. You know what I mean? I appreciate you. You know what I mean? And thank you. Okay, and good night, everyone. Good night, Susan.
Good night.
So let me end it. Bomb.